webinar is now streaming live on Facebook, so we should be live. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It is November 15th. Things are, going. My name is Kelly J. Parsons. I am coming from Savannah, Georgia. It is cold and rainy here today, but it's nice. And my lovely co-host
is Laurie Baracco, and I am here in rainy, muggy Southwest Florida, Bonita Springs. But it's Friday, and it's a nice change to our weather because I am not complaining. We usually have sunny days, sunny, and the temperature is usually quite warm. But now we've got a little bit of a change. We've got some wind, we've got some rain. It's going to cool it off a little bit. Actually, we were a little behind in rain this year, so it's so good for the plants and the people.
That's good. Yeah, there's this Arctic blast thing happening all across the country. If you're joining us, let us know where you're coming from, what kind of weather you have. You got snow on the ground or sunshine? We'd love to hear from you. Also, feel free to pop in comments or questions as we go. Today, we're going to be talking about Mercury Retrograde. And how it's kind of a shit show, but we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts to give you some help to hopefully make things a little bit easier as you go through. It can cause really just about everything to go haywire, right? Pretty much anything, all the things can
pretty much. So Kelly, what areas have you noticed to have been extremely influenced or highly influenced by Mercury retrograde? And then we'll go over the different things that can happen.
Oh, well, for me, because I work in computers and technology and all the things. So pretty much every single Mercury retrograde, something's going to go wrong. Some websites are going to stop working. Things that have been working perfectly fine will all of a sudden now not work at all. So I'm always sort of prepared for this influx of troubleshooting issues. And it's like, oh yeah, everything's fine. And then all of a sudden Mercury retrograde hits and it's like, nope, actually it's not fine.
Not okay.
Not okay. For no rhyme or reason, no real, particular problem, or it's just Mercury retrograde. And yeah, that's always the biggest thing for me in my business. What about you?
So for here, I would say some delays, right? So Mercury is also the mind, right? Thoughts, mind, air, the element of air. So also communication. So misunderstandings, right? Others misinterpreting what we're seeing, and then vice versa. We hear something different than what maybe have been, been meant. So there's been delays, people being late for appointments, even forgetting appointments, and a lot of accidents. And again, like I said, the miscommunication is just like the fuzziness, like what? And having to redo things. You do it over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah. And this one was it seemed a little rough. I mean, we have Mercury retrogrades a lot, but this one in particular, because we had that full moon in Scorpio. Was it the full moon in Scorpio? So it was lots of old stuff getting brought up, and then add on top of it difficulties in communication and technology. That just adds another layer, because Scorpio is a really powerful sign and really asks us to dig deep and see some of the hidden and shadowy stuff that we don't like to really look at. But then add that Mercury retrograde, and then it made a really big transit. What is a 13-year transit across the face of the sun that you could see it? So this particular Mercury retrograde was a big one, and it's ending soon, right?
The 20th.
Yeah.
So that's next, maybe Wednesday. It might be Wednesday.
5 days. 5 days from now. Today's the 15th.
5 days from now. But also, with the Scorpio, like it's that sting. Some of those things are stinging. It's like, ooh, that hurts a little, and hopefully we don't react from that place, or we get to, okay, let's see what's going on here, and kind of go a little deeper, as Kelly had mentioned, and see if we could get to the core without getting butt hurt. Right.
That's the trick, isn't it? Without getting butt hurt. That's where it's important to be able to separate yourself and sort of take a step back and realize there's a lot of things sort of swirling around for everybody, that it's not just affecting you, but that everybody's being affected, and not everybody knows as much, and so they're going to react and they're going to, respond, and as opposed to being more thoughtful about it. That's where we can sort of lessen those butthurtedness. We can take a little step back and be more, observe a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, butt hurt syndrome. I just gave it a new tag.
I like it.
That'll be the new hashtag. So Mercury went retrograde on Samhain. So October 31st. So, and usually it's retrograde for about 3 weeks at a time. And what that means is the planet goes backwards. And yeah, a lot of us are like, oh my God, it's coming. But it really does there are benefits to that time. I mean, out of any time, right? There's always a purpose for it. It's not just a random thing. It's not the universe just saying, let's mess with them. Being real pains in the butt, let's mess with them. No, that there is purpose within all of this.
Although it does feel like it's just the universe fucking with us.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. So, alrighty. So feel free, as Kelly had mentioned, to comment in there any thoughts you have about this time of this cycle, right? Or comments, questions. We'll check in with you. So
yeah. How is everybody watching? How have you seen this particular Mercury retrograde affect your life? What are the things that you're seeing that are issues or whatever? Like, let us know. We'd love to hear your experience, and so that we also know that we're all not alone in this.
Yeah. I'd say, by the way, yeah, it's been a hit and miss too, right? Like where it's like, okay, I'm all right now, and things are flowing, and then it's like, what? And like left field stuff, like, whew, okay, here comes an opportunity to learn and grow right in front of you.
Yay! An opportunity to learn and grow. Yay! I'm so grateful.
Hey, just some days are more of a shit show than others. It's just the way it is, right? That is so true.
But it is good. And I know I joke, but it's true. I mean, these sorts of things really bring us to a point where we can learn and grow, and that we are called deeper. And I think as soul beings and as light beings, that's part of our job here on Earth is to go deeper. We're not here to live a life that is only superficial. We're here to live a life that's deep and powerful. And the planets help us do that, even though it can be a shit show.
Yeah. So I'll just go a little bit more into Mercury. So the planet Mercury rules communication, contracts, paperwork, travel, the mind, thoughts, and ideas. And so it does, when it goes retrograde, it can cause a little bit of confusion, a little chaos. And there are some suggestions that Spirit suggests we don't do. I was like, where's that coming from?
Apparently my business phone, hold on.
Okay, so here's some of the suggestions. I'm like, what is that? So here are some of the suggestions of things not to do, or to wait if you can, to delay some of these things. Make important decisions, right? You might have some things that are pressing. It's like, gosh, I'm on a time crunch. And yes, some things that we need to take care of right away. But during this time, it's like you want to really, really take your time with making important decisions, signing contracts or paperwork. And here's the thing is that if you don't carefully look over all the details and review all of them, you might have to redo them. You might miss something. So the possibility or the potential to overlook things is pretty high.
Yeah, it's kind of like like Santa, make a list and check it twice kind of a thing. Be very vigilant about reviewing any agreements that you make, especially contracts or things like that. Make sure that all of the ducks are in the row, that ask and ask again to make sure that everything's very clear. get things in writing. It's not that you can't do those things during Mercury retrograde, but you do have to realize that there's more potential for things to go sideways a little bit with it, or miscommunication. So just be aware of that and be very careful about what you're signing, and make sure that everything is correct, and have someone else come in, like an advisor, or if it's a legal thing, like an attorney or someone, to review those things to make sure that you're doing your best to avoid any problems, you know, later on.
Yeah, because it's a time of redoing. So another one that it's suggested to try not to start a new relationship. Why? Because since it's a time of a redo, you may be reflecting upon your past relationships, or spirit will show you some reflections, and maybe there are some areas where you haven't quite transitioned into the newer energy, and so we might need to review some things first. Right?
Yeah. And especially this past one, because of Scorpio really pulling up some old shit for you. And especially when it comes to personal relationships and communication, this particular time's not a great time. You know, I think it's more of seeing what other sort of gunk is left over from past relationships, and really letting that go and moving through it, and continuing the sort of final bits of processing around that. So if you're feeling that, if you have your eye on someone new, make sure that you're completing the old cycle first before you start bringing in something new. Plus, with Mercury, with the communication, there's no telling. Like, it's yeah. Just you do your work and then wait till next Wednesday.
If you can. And I know a lot of people say, well, there's a time before, you know, it actually goes retrograde, and then there's another week afterwards. I mean, it's important that we don't allow this to control our lives, right? So sometimes we do have to make decisions, right? And I share this all the time with during the cycle, that I signed the original lease for the mystical moon during the Mercury retrograde cycle. And it's okay. Everything's worked out so far. But I have redone it though, because I've moved, right? I went to large, so on and so forth. But if you must, you know, make a big decision, take your time with it, as we've been saying.
For sure. The last one on there is don't take anything personally. This one's hard. It's just as in general, it's hard, much less during Mercury retrograde, because I think everybody's sort of a little bit of an open nerve during that. So both sides, you know, it's easy to feel sort of taken aback and be like, no, like what, no, you know, and because your nerves are really on the surface, and the other person's dealing with a bunch of shit and they don't know what's going on, and so they let it all out because they have to get rid of it. And so it's important not to take on their story as a part of yours. So whatever they're dealing with isn't necessarily your truth. And whatever they may say to you, or things that they may, you know, maybe even attack you with, may not actually be true. So be careful not to take that on as your truth, because then that will affect you in a way that's not healthy or productive. You know, if there is truth in it, sure, own that and move on. But if there isn't, it's not your bag of shit to carry. So don't add to the others you're already carrying.
Exactly. You don't need that.
Ain't nobody got time. And nobody got time for that.
All righty. So I'm just checking to see if we have any comments. No comments yet. Everybody's just kind of, I guess, agreeing with this. All right. So there are some suggestions of things to do, right? So we've already covered this. Take your time. Do take your time rereading or reading paperwork and contracts. This also can go along with looking at some of the contracts that you already have in place. Maybe there's something you've overlooked. Go back and review them. And a lot of times we have that intuitive hit that, hey, something's not right with that agreement. Let me go back and read it. This is the time to do that. You may uncover something.
Absolutely. The next one we have is reflect on your past choices. We touched a little bit on this with the relationship part, but it's a good time to really reflect and see and learn. This is not a time for judgment. This is not about being hard on yourself, or, you know, I should have done this better, or I should have done that. That's not going to be helpful. But the life is full of lessons, and it's important to take some time and see, okay, I could have done that a little differently. I'm going to take this lesson. This is not a self-judgment. I'm not going to, go hide in the closet for a week because I'm a terrible, none of that. Like, let all that shit go. This is just about the information. This is not necessarily to dredge up deep emotional or judgmental things for yourself. Just see what you could have done better. We all could have done something better in the past, and that's fine. So take those lessons, write them down, and then release them, so that you don't keep repeating the karmic cycle around it. Because if you don't close that cycle, I will tell you right now, it will come back to bite you in the ass and will not be fun. And it will continue to do it until you close the cycle. So take time to go back and close those cycles and make shifts around that so that you don't have to keep doing it over and over again.
Amen.
It's not fun.
No,
Amen,
it's not
she
fun.
says.
Amen.
Preach.
The next one we have is to have backup transfer travel. So these days, where I'm at, it's just the traffic has increased at least like 100%. It's like doubled. So what I do, by the way, I always have like a backup plan too of which way I'm going to go. But I take a moment before I leave to feel it out, like which route feels better for me right now. Where do I feel like there are less delays? And then I ease into that. Sometimes I may go the back way. Sometimes I may take the main highway. So, but it's always good to have a backup plan just in case.
Yes. Speaking of backups, this is not on our list, but I'm going to throw it in here. If you have a computer or anything or a phone, make sure all of that is backed up on an external hard drive that's separate. Have redundant backups. You should anyway, but especially during Mercury retrograde, make sure that those backups are new and fresh, because the last thing you want is your hard drive to fail and you're screwed. Don't do
that. I could have used backup sprays. We've gotten it's a blessing, but we've gotten a lot of wholesale orders, and the stores have been selling Mystical Moon Magic sprays. I need backups. You're saying backups. I'm like, yeah, backups. I could have had backups. I wouldn't be scrambling as much if I had extra backups here. You never know.
That's true. But it's good. That's really good that there's.
But a lot of times I think we don't think about that with computers. We just take it for granted. I turn it on. The thing I had saved is going to be there. And actually, we have found that too with the Google Drive, with some of the documents we have here. Like they're acting up. It's like, what happened to that? It's not giving the right total. Yeah. Well, it's just the time of the cycle. Yeah.
Make sure your shit's backed up. That is the worst if your drive fails and they can't recover it, or it can be very expensive to recover failed hard drives. Like, it's not, just don't do it.
True.
Don't do it. Yeah, so I jumped in there. Okay, so repair your car. This is a good one. Just make sure everything's running properly. This is going to be a time that's probably more likely for things to fail during this time. So if you've been putting off a repair, now is a great time to go get that taken care of, and just, you get a little checkup for your transportation,
That's right. Right. Like, again, your electronics, all the things that you use, the mechanical things, the electric mechanical things, have backups. Make sure they're all in good working order. And you know what? It's a good reminder, like, okay, Mercury retrograde, that's the time I do this, I bring my car into the shop and get a full tune-up or something. So it's a good routine to get into as well.
Yeah. Speaking of, I need to get my oil changed.
I might be due soon. I don't know. Yeah, I'll look into it. Recolor your hair. Redo your hair. It's a good time to redo your hair. Again, these are the redos. Change things up. Why not?
Yeah. I haven't dyed my hair in a long time. I don't know that I ever will again, but could be fun. Have purple hair next time.
Why not? That's fun.
The other thing is review your financial situation. It's good just to, again, like these are sort of like checkups for your life.
Yeah.
Like just to make sure that everything's copacetic, as my stepdad would say, copacetic.
It's like admin stuff. It's like admin. Let me go and check all the admin stuff in my life and make sure, the practical stuff. A lot of times we ignore these things until something gets messed up and goes awry, right? So this is the admin of your life, all the things, all the systems. Check them
Right.
out.
That's a good yeah, that's a good analogy for that. Admin.
I'm gonna check all the admin in my life right now. Excuse me.
Excuse
Where's
me.
that going? Everything. Don't you have admin stuff? Right? That's all your things. Sounds so official, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm in the admin. I'm just gonna take some admin time right now. Plus, you can lock yourself in a room when you do that because it's important, and you can tell everybody to leave you alone, and it's good. That'd be great. Like
You
I'm doing very
in my head.
admin.
You just went into my head. I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing the admin. I'm doing admin work.
Right. I'm just leave me alone. I have to focus on the admin for my life. That's great. Just tell everybody, fuck off. Leave you alone.
So what I've noticed during this cycle too is I'm craving to be alone with my own thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. To do some housekeeping and some like organizing of my thoughts. And that definitely is a Mercury, like that's an influence of Mercury as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. What else have we got there?
Mama, we got give yourself and your space a good clearing.
Yes.
It's sort of like the admin thing of just checking on things, like freshen up the energy. That'll help shift anything that's old that's coming up too. So we've talked about this last one specifically with Scorpio being involved, is that it's going to dredge up some old shit. So releasing that, part of that, not only on an energetic level, but on a physical space level, that's a good way of showing like, I'm done with this. I'm releasing it. I'm, going to clean and organize and declutter, get rid of shit that I'm not using, have, give Goodwill some donations or whatever, and then do some saging or incense or sprays. If you don't like the smoke, Laurie's got some great ones available at the Moon. If she has any left after the order. But, so there's, it just allows you to shift the physical energy around it, not just your emotional and energetic bodies, but also your physical space to give yourself a nice, good clearing.
Absolutely. I'm also hearing too that this cycle helps us with adulting.
Yay.
Yeah, that's necessary. It really is necessary, so it's just to help keep us grounded here. We could still do all the fun things, but this just helps us. Okay, now it's time to just balance that out with a little bit of practical stuff here. Let's get practical. And then you could go all woo-woo crazy. Or whatever it is you do, right? Whatever you do.
Then you go woo-woo crazy.
Whatever you want. Knock yourself out. That's what my grandma would say. Knock yourself out. So another thing, it's also a really great time to release an unhealthy habit. Again, adulting, reprioritizing in your life, reviewing, like, what am I doing here, right? Adulting. But it's a great time to, again, declutter, release inner and outer stuff that's not serving anymore.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think we covered all the things on there.
I think so. Yeah, so Mercury retrograde you don't have to hide. No. It's not, I think a lot of people hear it and they want to run and just disappear and avoid it. But there's some really good things that you can do during this time that's beneficial for your life and for your energy. And understanding what you can expect and not expect, and what you should and shouldn't do around it, or, just things to be aware of, can really help the Mercury be a little more Freddie than retrograde, right? I love that meme.
I love that too. More Freddie. May your Mercury be more Freddie than retrograde.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. All right, so we're going to close with a card, right?
Yeah.
We've got Kelly and I created this Working Girls Oracle, and we just love Sally. And so we're going to select a card for ourselves and for the group, everybody watching. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So this has been my theme for this week too. You probably have heard me say this. don't be a micromanager. Right? I think pretty sure.
Yes, you have said that.
I did. Warning.
Warning.
Warning. You on the verge of becoming a full-blown control freak. The antidote of control freak status is trust. Trusting the process can be one of the most challenging aspects of owning and running a business. It is easy to get caught up with every little detail, but it's not healthy to try and control everything and everyone. Allow your business breathing room to flourish and prosper. If you have employees, give them room to shine. They have you and the business's best interests at heart. That's such a great card, though.
That is a good card.
Yeah.
I feel like I've pulled this one a lot, but apparently it's coming up again. So it's the king archetype.
Oh, yeah.
Channel your inner king archetype. The king possesses the ability to be direct, assertive, disciplined, has unwavering confidence, and is a strong, powerful leader. This is good for me to hear. Anyway, he is the executive decision maker, takes control of the ship during rough seas. The oracle encourages you to tap into your king archetype to assist you and your business as you move forward towards your goals for success. Mm-hmm. So if you're feeling a little upside down during this Mercury retrograde, tap into that king archetype, the captain of the ship. He's ready to help you navigate those sort of rough seas. Mm-hmm. So that's great. It's a good reminder.
It is a great reminder. And I do want to add as well. So we're also coming to the end of the year. We're coming to the end of the decade. So a lot of things want to be shifted out before we go into a new decade and a new year, and let alone a new decade. So if something is trying to phase out, please trust that there's a plan, there's a divine plan, there's intervention to help us to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be, because we're here for a reason and we have help.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We hope you have a fantastic weekend. We will see you again soon. This is Kelly from cloudy Savannah, Georgia.
And I am Laurie Baracco from beautiful Southwest Florida, Bonita Springs. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.